Hello guys, welcome to the next episode of late Friday night's Banter Blitz. This time, unfortunately, I'm not going to be here for a long time, mainly because of the annoying weather, so it's really annoying and, well, it negatively affects my ability to think clearly. So I hope you'll understand, taking into account the number of challenges, I think I'm not alone. So I'm going to be here for sort of 1 hour or something like that. Okay, so let's go to playing. Let us do everything quickly, not wasting the time. All right, so let's see if I have somebody that's I've never ever played before. So want to start exactly against this guy. Okay, we have the wanted list, so I'll accept this challenge. Good evening, Andrey says Twaho's stream's working. Very good. So I'm playing with white pieces this time. So e4. e4. So what's going on? Where is my opponent? Where is my opponent? Makes out asks, do you play the Super Engine Casper often, Andrey? I think in 5 years it will be the best opponent for me. The manageable one. Okay, so it feels like my opponent is not going to respond. So I'll abort this game and take another one. So if this guy wants to play the game after all, he can probably challenge once again. So let's see. Who do we have here? So almost everybody I've played before, but here's the one from Netherlands. So it doesn't look like I've played it. I've played this opponent, so let's accept. Also white pieces. So e4. g6 immediately. Okay. And d6. Okay, let's try h4 in this situation, just showing that, okay, you don't have the knight on f6, so why not? I'm gonna play h5 if nothing stops me from doing that. If black plays h7, h5, then most likely it's okay for me because it weakens g5. Alright, knight f6, go into sort of transposition to one of the major lines, I guess. I don't know, h4 is anyway part of the plan, so at some point I want to play g4, h5 with the attack. So I don't think it is something strange to play h4. You can probably hear my son crying in the background, so this weather is affecting not only me. So the next thing to do here is just to put the bishop on e3 most likely, and queen on d2 and so forth, but c5. Can I just take on c5 in this case? That's interesting. I mean, after that I force the king to d8, and since c5 is played, b5 square and d5 square are weak, and I can use them, I think, with the help of my knight. So for instance, in many cases the king cannot go to c7 without consequences. That's a question what to do now. So there are usually several moves possible, like bishop c4 attacking f7, bishop b3 attacking c5, and preparing castling. I think bishop b3 is natural. So castling first and then everything else, I suppose. So c5 is under attack. I don't mind capturing it if there is a chance. So let's castle. Again, c5 is under pressure because knight on d7 is pinned now, and I think there is nothing wrong with just capturing it, right? So bishop c5, extra pawn. There is this threat of bishop b6. But in the vast majority of cases, I will just go back simply to e3, I guess, with the bishop. I will play a position in which I have better development, better pieces placement, and extra material, right? Right. King goes to e8. Alright, so this means black will have serious problems with the coordination. Because now to activate the rook on h8, black has to think of how to improve the position of the king. It will take, I suppose, a lot of time. So bishop is hanging, let's go away. Just bishop to e3. Why not? And now I can think of different ideas, including just g4, continuing with the attack there. On the king side, grabbing more space. Simple development like knight e2 can be also absolutely playable, absolutely valid idea. If I play g4, I weaken f3, so knight e5 may be not very pleasant thing. On the other hand, after g4, I create a sort of playing g5 followed by knight d5, creating a threat to c7 square. Dunno. Not so simple to make a choice here because almost everything looks pretty cool for white. So I'm going to play knight e2 first. Continuing with the development, covering g3 square, maybe intending to put this knight on f4. I think f4 should be a good position for it. So let's try it. Just controlling d5 additionally. And being ready to occupy this square whenever my knight is attacked with the b4, let's say. An interesting thing here, possible one I think, is just to take on b5 with the knight a b5 and bishop b5 at some point. For instance, if the knight is not protected with the knight on f6, so let's say the knight f6 goes away somewhere, this knight b5 becomes an interesting idea. By the way, even here it's interesting because a capture with check, I'll have 3 pawns for a piece, but I don't think it's necessary to, sacrifice anything when you already have a material advantage, right? So I'll just stop the pawn first from going to b4. Just to make sure my knight will stay on c3 for some time. I don't have to think of this b5, b4, and I'm going to complete the development the normal way, like bishop e2. Or something like that. Alright, so now there is a sort of potential threat of knight c4. I was going to capture that knight anyway. So maybe it makes sense for me to play bishop d4 first. Like bishop d4, knight c4, takes. Alright, let's try that. Because I wanted to play bishop b2, but then knight c4 forces me to take. So it's better to take from f1. Not wasting the time. Okay. Knight is hanging on e5. If bishop goes to h6, I just capture the knight and protect my own knight on f4. I hope I don't blunder anything here. So there is a discussion on chat about the duration of the show. So as I said at the very beginning, I'm going to be here for 1 hour or something like this because of the weather. It's only this time, but usually yeah, it is 1 hour and a half or 2 hours. So now potentially there is a sort of just taking on d4 and then playing e5, right? I have to deal with this. So I don't know, e5 looks interesting, just attacking the knight, but the knight goes to d7. I put my rook on e1, centralizing everything, but I think it's better for me to keep the pawn on e4. So maybe just to play bishop b6, I don't know, creating a threat of rook d8, but then again, knight goes to d7. To know. What about this simplification? Just bishop takes f6, bishop f6, and knight d5. This also looks quite good. After all, we have extra material, so let's try that. I believe it's not the best option. Not the best, because bishop on b7 is basically very bad, and if I played knight d5, black will capture that. But again, after all, I have extra material, extra pawns, so simplification looks something really natural in such a situation. So what's the next stage? Just doubling rooks along the D file, I guess. Alright. So let's take here. Rook D6 attacking 2 pawns simultaneously. This is something very pleasant. So 2 extra pawns. 2 of them are double passers. So should be easily winning position. Now I have a threat of just occupying the 7th rank with both rooks. I think it's pretty annoying. So black has to basically, exchange one of them, which makes my plan of pushing pawns quite a simple stuff. Okay, should I play e5 or just take on f5? I don't know, let's play e5, just keeping the position more or less closed, preventing opponent's counterplay more or less, and keep on pushing pawns. It's necessary, of course, to play something like this. Now black is just not in time. Alright, doesn't matter what I do here because my pawns decide. Yeah. Okay. So I have a feeling that after c5 and dc5, black has to sacrifice this pawn. So to make something like, castling, maybe knight to c6, maybe queen a5, so something sharp. Probably castling is the best move here. And after cd6, ed6, trying to, use the fact that I'm underdeveloped, maybe to prepare quick d6, d5 with the counterplay. Because after dc5, queen d8, king d8, and this, white's play is so simple. I mean, black has serious problems here. In addition to bishop c5, I have a sort of playing e5, let's say, forcing the knight to a strange position. Then maybe even the e6 damage in the pawn structure. It's kind of idea, maybe not the best one. Another one is just to play g4 first, controlling h5, and then maybe e5. One more, just to put the bishop on c4, attacking f7. Another one, knight h3, followed by knight g5. So I have a lot of active possibilities here, while black is under serious pressure because of the position of the king. Okay, next one, let's have a look. What do we have here? Do we have somebody I've never ever played before? So almost everybody played against me, I think. At least once. DM6. Accept. Question, Andrey, do you observe LC0 development in games? Do you mean Lila Chess 0? Am I correct? If yes, then the answer is no. So we're going to play close Catalan here with the transposition from Queen's Indian defense. Next move is d5 for black. And we have one of the tabias of the close Catalan. So one of the main lines, bishop b7, followed by knight a6, intending to occupy b4 square. a3 preventing it. And let me think, I guess rook to c8 is possible here. Preparing c5. Alright, now this knight goes to d7. And another one can go to c7 if necessary. And both knights will control c5 and d5, which means c5 is absolutely possible after that. Rook to d1. So should I play c5 right now? Let's try it, why not? Counter-attack in the center, as we may notice at the moment. Surprisingly now, black has slightly better development. This bishop is stuck on c1. So opening out the position shouldn't be that bad idea. Queen goes to d3. That's a mysterious move. So what if I just take on d4 now? Queen has to take. Otherwise I just win the pawn on e5. Which is a great thing for me, I suppose. If cd5, I have intermediate knight c5 move attacking the queen. And then I take on d5 with the bishop if I want. Okay, so that was white's idea here. Let's focus. Knight to c5, which one, first of all? I think it doesn't really matter, but it's probably much better to put knight a6 there, because after a3 it is quite limited. Taking on d5 with the bishop immediately, obviously, loses to queen takes a6, so let's put the knight here. And then bishop takes d5, and that should be fine, I suppose. No, queen e2, not even taken on d4. It was possible because knight controls b3 square. I mean, knight d2 controls b3. Now I can play d3 even. I mean, another intermediate move and then capture on d5. I think it's interesting. But then there will be b4. Maybe I should take on d5 right away. Knight takes d4, bishop g2, king g2. Already looks very strange for white. But maybe it's interesting to try d3 after all, because after that, to win that pawn, white has to play b4, which we can c3 square, and gives my pieces some additional opportunities. I don't know. Another interesting idea is just to try bishop a6 now. What about bishop a6? I've just noticed this move. It forces the queen to e1, where it has just a few squares. But maybe that's okay. Maybe I cannot use that somehow. E d5, knight takes d4, knight d3, attacking the queen. Queen probably goes to e2 after that. My bishop on a6 is heading in that situation. I can take on b2, queen a6, knight takes d1. I have extra exchange. Wow, interesting line. So let's try it. I mean, it's a bit risky, but it looks very tempting anyway. Queen e1, and if I play knight d3 immediately, there is queen e4. That's why I wanted to take on d5 first with my pawn. And now, okay, that's what I missed. After simple knight takes d4, if I play knight d3, queen can go to e3. But in that case, I can win the pawn on e5, right? So let's go there. And let's take this one, right? Why not? It's very important central pawn. I have extra material now. And much more active pieces. And now I can even play knight g4, knight f2, winning one more pawn, which looks very important. Let's do it. I mean, why not? I don't see a refutation. Queen here. Okay, now taking on f2 with the tempo, right? And I suppose with this knight from d3. On the other hand, taking with the knight from g4 is also very good. Yeah, let's take this knight. And then this knight will go to e4. Wow, 2 extra pawns and looks like an overwhelming position. Oh, rook on e1 was hanging. I could have captured it. That's okay. Knight e4 is a tempo move attacking the queen. I can do this next move. I mean, queen e3. Okay, let's take this rook. Extra exchange and 2 pawns. Absolutely winning position. Now I have to win it. So let's put the bishop here. Rook will go here. Knight c3 is possible. So let's grab additional material. Again, why not? So, I believe queen d3 is something strange already. In the opening, I mean, this move, because after cd4, I guess I'm fine, more than fine even. I'm not sure that rook d1 is the best move. I think b4 deserves serious attention. So b4 is a typical move here, probably one of the most popular choices in this position. So just grabbing more space and making c5 not that clear anymore, because you always have b4, b5 move, and you have kind of pressure in my position. But at the same time, I have some counterplay because of my pawns on c5 and d5. So this rook to d1, c5, queen here, cd4. I think it's great for black. I mean, at the very least, black has no problems. I expected queen takes d4 here, because b3 is covered by the knight d2, so it's playable. I wanted to take on d5 with the bishop. Now it's still not that pleasant to play this position, which is why, because knight has been to b3 at the moment. b4 maybe, but then I wanted to put my knight on a4, and now development of that bishop is sort of complicated. c3 is weak as well. But I don't think that black has a serious advantage here. So I mean, it's a playable position for white, 100%. It was much better than what happened in the game. Anyway, okay. One more against the one I've never ever played before. So let me find. Okay, here we go. Black pieces again. b4. Okay, let's undermine the pawn. Let's separate this b5 and a2. Potentially, I will try to do something with this b5 pawn. a3, okay. Let's complete the development first. c4 weakens b3, so I can use it almost immediately with the help of knight c5. The other question, if it is anything really promising, so knight c5, d4, knight b3, rook a2, and then this knight will be attacked with the help of knight d2 at very least. I can also try e4 now, so e4 first, knight goes to d4, and then knight c5. This looks great. I mean, 2 squares, b3 and d3 are weakened. This looks interesting, so let's do it. And knight c5. Like, controlling light squares now. In a very, very good way. I mean, looks great at least. To be, you know, in a position of occupying b3 or d3 at the proper moment. And white decides to undermine e4 immediately, but this gives me a light squared bishop. I think it is something, because this knight c5 can be replaced potentially with another one with the help of maneuver knight e7, knight c5. So I think it's very important to grab this bishop. Now castles. c4 is a weakness now. For real. There is no good defender of this guy. But I have to be careful because white has some active ideas like knight to f5. Knight f5 immediately, alright. This probably stops me from playing knight d7 or something. I'm going just to take it. And now knight d7. Heading to c5 anyway. It's a better pawn structure for black. I think a good achievement. because we have just started, right? And at the moment I have a better development, which is also quite good. So queen d4 is playable, absolutely. But I think it's not the best move. So knight to e5 should be better. Yeah, let's go knight to e5. Fighting for some material. I mean, I have an idea of just taking on c4 because the rook on a1 is still hanging. Not sure again if it is the best thing to do here. If I play knight c4, queen f6, gf6, probably not that great. Because c7 drops. What to do then? Maybe it was a good idea for me just to take on d4 one move ago, you know. Then rook e8 check, rook e4, another rook to e8, just enjoying much better coordination of the pieces. Oh my goodness. You know, I was too greedy. Now if I take on c4, queen f6, gf6, rook c1, d5, right? It's possible, then knight c3, c6, bc6, bc6, e4. Position is unclear. But I'm probably still better, so let us at least be consistent. And I didn't check queen takes c4. That's a fantastic lack of concentration, you know, but fortunately it doesn't work. So queen c4, queen a1, knight c3. I hope doesn't trap my queen. I still have a lot of squares there. Okay, d5 protecting the knight. So I don't think that attack against b5 gives me anything because there is always knight c3. So let's just protect the key central pawn d5 with the help of c6 move. And if bc6, bc6, the b file becomes open and I have some good ideas like rook b8, rook b3. Looks very tempting. But I missed this move. Oh my god. Just playing like crap here. Okay, let's take here. Rook a6 protecting the pawn. Now rook b8 preventing rook takes c6 because of the back rank, first rank I mean. Now rook to b6 protecting the pawn from the active position if compared to c8. And now it's time to bring the king as well. Closer to the center, I mean. Yeah, it will not be easy. I created all these technical problems myself. I believe that knight e5 was the start of that problem. I don't understand f3 move at all. I mean, I can take the pawn, right? King f5. Is it really possible? I mean, My pawn looks very fast. Okay. This should be lost now. Yeah, I should be much faster here. C2. C1. And it's over. Okay, so I think somewhere here when I play queen takes f6 and when I play queen to d4, I guess queen takes d4 was much better if compared to what I did. I played knight e5, you know, fighting for this pawn c4. It is still possible, I mean, to play for this weakness, I mean, to attack it somehow. But what is cool here is that I occupy key squares first, like with Tempe. It goes to d3, let's say, like rook here, knight e2. Maybe it's not that simple, of course, but still, it feels like black has a serious advantage. Because I control the only open file in this position, I already started attacking white's weaknesses. So my position should be better, but maybe it's not that great advantage as I wanted it to be at some point. So queen to d4. Maybe I missed something even better than taking on d4. I didn't know. So knight to e5. I was not really satisfied with the results of that thing. I mean, knight e5 here takes. Okay, I'm a pawn up. But what has a better pawn structure now? Surprisingly. Not surprisingly, I don't know. So after queen takes f6, my pawn structure is damaged for sure. And whenever I play c4, it's kind of, you know, dangerous. I would have played knight c3 here as white, and then e4 immediately. I thought this would be a real counterplay. Attacking here, I wanted to play this. Now takes, let's say, and then e4. And I was not sure. So I thought, okay, maybe I have d4, but it didn't feel very convincing. Maybe knight d2 is an interesting idea. I've noticed this move only now. So knight b3 is a threat as well as taking on e4. But still, the pawn structure is very vulnerable, so white always has some, you know, counter chances, counter attack. All right, thank you for the game. That was an interesting fight. Okay, now let's play several games in the normal order. So, Sebi, accept. Let's go. e4, e5. Let's try something new against Sebi. I mean, something new if we talk about our games. Because usually I play Ruy Lopez. Alright. This time I'm trying something different. Not sure if it's going to work very good, but the main idea is just to get the fresh position. So g4 grabs some space on the king side, prepares knight to g3, with the idea of occupation of the f5 at the right moment. It's also interesting to try something like bishop g5 at some point, I guess. Spinning the knight, f6. This may prove to be annoying for black, because I didn't define the position of my king. I can still castle alone, which means if black plays something like h6, it will be just a weakening I can use with the help of h4, g5 at some point. Okay, knight d4, centralizing the knight. Nothing is hanging for now, so maybe it's a good moment to play bishop g5. Trying to provoke h6, because if black doesn't play h6 now, I can continue playing against this knight with the help of knight h5. Alright, h6 is a weakening, as I said before, so we just step back, and well, it's possible to play queen d2 castles and g5, or maybe even start the attack based on this g5. Having the king on e1. So Ahuzek says d5, probably it means several moves ago, but black didn't have h6 at that moment. So I could have played g5 against d5. And if knight goes away, I just grab d5. That was my idea, at least. Okay, knight h7, what's the point? Knight is going to g5 maybe, but it doesn't go anywhere further. Maybe it's just a move that controls g5 additionally, I don't know. Well, now I understand. The idea was basically to put the queen on h4 to blockade my h3. But fine, I anyway wanted to play h4 whenever g4 is no longer hanging. This also stops queen h4 and prepares g5 now. Queen d7. Okay, so g4 is hanging, but I can play g5. Then what? Bishop g4 is potentially annoying, right? So bishop g4. If I play f3, there is knight takes f3. Bishop takes f3. Bishop takes f3, queen f3, I win a piece, right? So g5, okay, bishop g4, f3, knight c2, queen c2, bishop e3. I can still just take on g4 with the extra material for me. So maybe I can afford even playing g5 right away, so let's do it. Why not? I think f3 is okay. I mean, I don't see how black is going to refute this move tactically. And if bishop goes away, I just take on h6. So it looks like I won a tempo. Maybe I will even just play queen d2 and castle, not even hurrying up with the capture on h6. It's much better for me, after all, when black takes on g5, opening the h file. And this bishop on g2 was anyway already bad because of the pawn structure. So pawn e4 seriously limited the activity of that bishop, so f3 doesn't really make it even worse or something. So it's just the same. Moreover, f3 is not forever, so I can play f4 at any moment. Okay, now there is this threat of just taking on c2 and then taking on e3. So most likely it makes sense for me to protect the bishop. But I have to be careful. I didn't, you know, I didn't take it seriously. I mean, black's counterplay based on f7, f5. This may be an issue. F5. There is a shred of f4, the only serious shred. So maybe then I can play something like f4, stopping it. Or maybe just taking on f5, knight f5, knight f5, bishop f5. And then bishop takes c5 at some point. I still have to be slightly better. So let's play queen d2. So now I'm ready to castle on. I mean, if we compare the progress that white made here on the king side to the progress black managed to make on the queen side to attack my king, because my king will be there, then of course white is ahead, right? Now let's take here, let's take there. Extra pawn for now. And the pawn structure has changed the way I appreciate. So this e5 is potentially my object of attack. e4 is potentially a great outpost for the knight. So my only problem is my bishop g2, which is not necessarily that, you know, terrible for me. Okay, let's take here. Because as I said before, at almost any moment I can play f4 and bishop will be much better. For example, now is a great moment, I guess. There's also queen h6 move, queen g5. Queen g5 looks very strong. I know which one is better. Knight e4. Let's play knight e4, just central move. Also interesting one. Knight takes c5 is decisive. Queen g5 should be decisive. I guess my idea is to attack along the g file whenever g7 disappears. So let's put the rook on g1 with the idea of queen h6, right? Right. Queen h6, now preparing queen h8. Okay, if queen g7, then bishop h3. After bishop h7, I guess bishop h3 is also quite good. Okay, it's very close now, right? It's knight g5 simply. Yeah, let's play knight g5. Oops. This drops the bishop and the checkmate is here. Okay, so interesting game, interesting situation on the board. I have a feeling that at some point it was interesting for black to try h5. In fact, just you know, stopping me from grabbing the space that was especially playable when the rook was still on h8. I suppose h5 here is something really typical when the knight is on e2, because you create a positional threat of playing h4, and if then I play g4, well, dark squares are quite weak, and I no longer have this g3 square for my knight. If I play h4, this seriously weakens g4 square, so probably bishop g5 is the good reaction here. In which case, I guess, since you didn't castle short, you can try some, like, I have no idea, knight e7, knight g6, one playable idea. Another one is just to play bishop e6, then queen d7, then castles. And then you will focus on, you know, trying to do something in the center, or probably do something with this bishop, and then finally play g5, h4, something like this. Moreover, after bishop g5, maybe there is some tactics based on knight g4 and knight takes c4. No, I don't think so. It's knight g4, bishop d8, bishop f2, king f1, knight e3, king f2, knight takes d1. No, I take two minor pieces while you can take only one bishop on d8. All right, so this tactics doesn't work, but that's okay. You can you know, do other things here. So just bishop e6, queen d7, and so on. All right, all right. Oh, Don G says that after queen d2, knight c2, queen c2, bishop e3, so queen d2 wasn't really a protection of the bishop. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So queen d2. I completely missed that. That was so stupid. That, what I was, actually telling you about the hit in Germany and, the temperature that affects my ability to think. Yeah, knight c2 is possible. Oh my goodness. And black is just much better after that. Look at this dark squares now. That was a huge blunder. That was a huge blunder. So what to do instead then? Now queen d2 is then completely wrong. Oh my goodness. Really? So just knight takes c2. Yeah, don't g. Absolutely correct. So yeah. Most likely then the whole idea is not very cool. So maybe I should have played something like knight f5 instead. Just preventing bishop g4 or something. So yeah, knight f5 is much better. So we start with like also very active move, exerting some additional pressure on g7, h6, then queen d2 castles, and only then thinking about anything active. Yeah. So basically, yeah, this queen d2 could have completely spoiled not that bad game from white. Yeah, knight c2, amazing. Not the move, I mean, it's quite typical. And basically I saw that idea because I was trying to prevent it. Amazing how I decided that queen d2 stops it. That was really amazing. And now bishop e3 would be tremendous advantage for black. Yeah. Okay. That was close to losing it. All right. Super Bohemio. Let's play. Knight to c3. Okay, let's play d5. This way. I don't know if it is an improvement for black, I mean, to take with the knight on e4. I don't remember the stuff here. So let's take on e4 with the pawn. Let's take... Oh! Misclicked. Just misclicked. I wanted to take on f3, but okay. This position should be also not that terrible, So now it's neither Verisov nor Blackmar Dimmer Gambit. It's sort of Karakhan, I think. So very Karakhanian position. And I'm just fighting for light squares. I don't think this g4, h4 was correct here from a positional point of view. Might be wrong, of course. Maybe white will compensate it with the help of active play, let's see. Too many weak squares there on the king side, that's what I mean. Alright, should I take with the queen? I don't think so. I think with the pawn should be correct. Trying to improve the situation in the center. And this king will be very soon my target. So let's go. Knight c6, rook c8, and some tactics on c2. Should be possible. So rook c8, knight f4, bishop c2, king c2, knight d4 is probably not enough for black. What about rook c8, knight f4, knight b4? Takes g6, rook c2, queen c2, knight c2, knight takes h8, knight takes e3. It's probably good for black. But okay, there's queen b4 after knight b4, or bishop b5 check after that. So it's not good. Okay, so let's play positional chess. Let's prepare everything then. At least I didn't see anything decisive there, so this means it's better to complete the development and only then to think of anything else. Maybe, again, I underestimated White's g6 idea. I mean, I wanted to play g6, but now I can see that there is knight g6, f g6, queen g6, king goes to d7. Now that's probably okay for black, so let's play it. I'm in a terrible shape this time. So I'm playing without much calculation. I'm just trying to use my intuition, which is also a very bad idea, because if you're in a bad shape, your intuition is kind of your enemy. Okay, what happened? Bishop d2 was played. Right, let's play bishop d6. Maybe I'll be forced to capture that knight, which is double-edged. There will be no longer a threat to my e6 or g6, at least right now, but dark squares are quite weak. On the other hand, again, I'm not sure what will have that simple plan to exploit that weaknesses. Let's castle, simply. Oh, that's a terrible blunder. Or maybe not. Yeah, it is. I just blundered rook to e6, can you imagine? With at least a perpetual check. At least. No. That was a correct decision to make only 1 hour session this time, because I'm playing very bad chess. Okay, this just gives me some material, I suppose. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's another blunder of mine. Like queen b3, yeah. Now if I take on c2, rook goes to e2, and my knight doesn't have a square to run away. So what to do? Queen b6 first, then c3. Queen a5, a3, knight takes c2. In that case, what's going on there? Nothing really changes, I suppose. Ah, it's just stupid blunder. Okay. Okay, let's go back. Fantastic. But I'm still fine, you know. Queen b7 was probably greedy and correct. I don't know. I have a better pawn structure, so long term it should be sort of advantage for me. But it's important not to blunder anything anymore in this game. So this pawn on h4 will drop in the rook ending. So let's just, you know, simplify the things. Rook c4 was suggested instead of going back to c6. Okay, a3 after that. Same stuff. I have to go back to c6, and then, you know, this rook on c4 is placed strangely to me. And this position is quite clear, so I have the minority attack on the queen side, and white has nothing here. I believe it will be very hard for white to play this. So I'm going to create a weakness on either c3 or d4, and h4 already exists. So let's go. Now what about the checkmate even? I mean, is there a chance for white to prevent the checkmate if I play b3 next move? b3 or rook somewhere, or rook a8? No. That's just a checkmate, right? It's just a checkmate in several moves. Or maybe I'm just, again, overestimating my position. Maybe it's not a checkmate. No, it's not a checkmate. Okay. It's not even that simple. It should be, anyway, a great advantage for black because there will be just a constant threat of winning the material. But first, I guess, I have to bring my king to the center, right? Right. Let's prevent the king from moving to d2 at least. So I would like to see my king somewhere on c4. That should be a good square for me. Okay, king to d1, but this guy is not going anywhere anyway. It's just waiting. Now it's time, right? Rook a1, king d2, rook f1, rook f1. No, it's still not in time. So what about king d3? Just get in there. Okay. Like this. Now it's checkmate. All right. So rook e1 was probably possible. I wanted to take on f4. Rook f2 or rook... Maybe there was even a, perpetual. I'm not sure. Maybe I blundered something. I could have exchanged rooks already here. So to play something like this, king d2, another one to a2, which literally forces rook takes a1, where after I just take on a1, there is this threat of rook to b1 or rook to h1, which is important. So I told you that h4 will drop at some point, right? So I'm going to grab h4 where after position is absolutely lost. All right, anyway. Interesting game. So I think g4, h4 was too early for such an activity. It was better to develop the knight at least and then to do that. All right, so going to play my last game this time against Mikhail. Except, let's play knight f3. And c4. Undermining the central pawn. Yes, sir, it would be the last game. It will be the last game. As I said at the very beginning, it's really hot in Germany. It's really hard to do anything except for sleeping, Such a hit, you can easily sleep. It's a great thing. I'm curious if I can take just on d5 and black queen b3 or something. Or just queen b3 immediately. Let's try that. Even sleeping isn't easy these days, says Swihosex. Agree. Just such a bad weather. Looks like black is fine. So, didn't achieve anything here. Just playing random moves, Bishop g6. Maybe h4. Maybe knight d5, bishop b5. No, knight d5 and bishop b5 is just, stupid idea. Okay, what about f4, f5? Let's try this. It's also bad, I believe, but At least it looks dangerous, right? f6. I suppose bishop c5 or something was an interesting idea. I'm just attacking my knight d4 because f6, well, feels like it justifies my f4 move, more or less. Don't know. Let's go f5. Bishop f7, knight to e6 is a possibility, so I want to keep this possibility for future. Maybe knight a4 now. Queen b3, knight takes b3. Looks like, you know, just at least something. Or maybe knight a4, queen b3, a b3, and if knight d7, then knight e6. Yeah, this is interesting, light, so let's go for it. Reminds me of Fisher Random a bit because I have never ever seen such a position before, and pieces are placed strangely. Yeah. Both sides have to think over the board, no preparation, nothing. Let's do it. Queen c7. Okay, no exchange of queens. And a queen is exerting some pressure on h2 potentially. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's a good idea. All right, let's grab the bishop at least. Come on. Let's remove it. Okay. So now we have to think what to do with this bishop c1 because it's definitely the worst piece in our camp. It's definitely the worst piece in our camp. Maybe knight c3, e4 is also an interesting idea. So anyway, there is nothing to do for the knight on a4 anymore. Let's come back closer to the center. I think d4 should be played here to prevent knight c5 at least. And now e4. So otherwise black just captures on e6 and black is fine. Here at least I'm fighting for something. For light squares, for instance. And now I just win the rook, I suppose. I win the rook after this. That is why I grabbed that light square bishop. To weaken light squares and just to use them at some point. So I'm not sure how to improve black's play. It looked not that bad actually. Maybe after g3, it was interesting to try something more aggressive like h5, h4. Well, I'm just kidding because h5 really weakens g6, but maybe it's not that critical in fact. So if you play h5 and then play something like bishop d3, you can play knight e7, covering that square. It's not very dangerous for you, I suppose. But if you play h4 and weaken this diagonal b8, h2, I think white will regret. Seriously, because these squares are very important, and now we can feel the lack of that knight on f3. Obviously, bishop g3 is not enough. I'm pretty much sure because the b7 will be hanging constantly after that, so it should be just okay for white. Extra material. I mean, after bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, I will probably play just king e2. Yeah, so h5 deserved attention. Maybe just developing the knights first. Maybe this one even to a6 or something. No, a6 now I can just capture, but that's okay for you as well. So I don't know. Strange position. Very, very strange one. I mean, after f4, black could have been even better, I suppose. So bishop c5 looked very annoying to me. So if knight goes away, there is no threat of f5, which means f4 is just a weakening. Nothing more than that. If I play f5, I just take my knight on d4. If I take here, I guess... Well, it's still not clear, right? Yeah, it's still not clear. So maybe... Don't know, maybe it's... I don't want to say good position for white. I don't think so. But not that bad as I thought during the game. Yeah. Maybe he was interested to place on knight h6 or knight e7. Also, that knight d7, knight c5. All right. Interesting game. Thank you very much for this. Sorry that I'm going away this early, but at the very beginning of the show, I told you why, and we have discussed it as well on chat. So it's really hard to concentrate when it's so hot. Hopefully next week will be better, but according to forecasts, it's not the case. But we'll see. I will try to compensate this with longer session next week. Take care, guys. Wish you all a great weekend and see you very soon. Bye bye.